Hey everyone, how you all doing? How you all keeping? How's that? Is that better? There we go. So we're 278 days in, and for new viewers, hit the subscribe button, hype, like it, comment. And when I'm talking about numbers, it's the order of the alphabet. So it's A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm discussing numbers. So that will become clearer for you, for new viewers, as we go into it. But my tribe, my followers, get the numbers, and we'll go from there. So who's in the chat? Let's see. Hey Wendy. Hopefully they're not going to censor this one. It's weird, we were rising, and then it's a wave, you have to follow the wave. Hey David. Canadian Patriot. Starfire. Hey. Joni. Lisa. Elvis. Corrine. Lisa. Houston. Hey folks, good to see you all. Glennis. Austin, Texas, there you go. Anything happening in Austin since Circuit of the Americas, since the race? How's that? Is that better? Still quite bright. I'll do it this way. There's some golden windows in front of me that's reflecting. So there we go. A van's just pulled in front, and then the light will come back on. Okay, so we're 278 days in. 278 comes to the currency revaluation. 278 comes to someone very important, their full name. My name, if I was to say Thomas Sidney Bushnell Magic, 278, there you go. Huh, interesting. Yeah, there's lots of strange things in the markets. Well, the sound's up. Everyone can hear me. Give us a thumbs up, you can hear me. I think everyone should be able to hear me plenty. So, President Trump has just said that someone was asked, so this is disclosure, folks. I know some of you will know this, but President Trump was asked in a press conference about the cartels, and the reporter, the journalist, was prepped to ask President Trump the question, and said, you know, would you do a declaration of war against the cartels to let them know? He said, well, he's just going to kill them. So it's great because the gloves are coming off publicly. So that's soft disclosure on what's been going on. The military have been killing the cartels, not just the cartels, but the cabal, prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, this has been going on. Thanks, Corrine. And there's military codes and there's military, legislation, etc., that people can find or things. But publicly, like in the press, President Trump's just saying. So he's using the analogy of, well, there's the cartels, but if he's going after drug dealers and they get executed, imagine what he's going to do to people that are worse than that. And he's just saying they're going to kill them. They're just going to kill them if they come into the country. He's going to kill them. And so there is the war going on. The silent war is taking place. And this is what we're seeing. This is what all these military moves are. These are the things that are taking place. They're happening. And so it's soft disclosure, but public disclosure now for the masses to see that President Trump means business. He's the boss. He's the godfather. He's telling everyone, this is what we're doing. If you mess with us, if you fuck with us, we're going to kill you. We're going to execute you. So let's look at the numbers on some of those words. So execute. Remember, he said he promises to faithfully execute. He said that when he was inaugurated. That's what, when he put his hand on the Bible in 2017 on January 20th, January 120, the truth 120. He said, I promise to faithfully execute. And that's what him and his team are doing. That's what the military are doing. He's told everyone about the storm. He says, we have the greatest world's military ever assembled. So execute in numbers comes to 83, which is election. So 83 is also psychic. 83 is also faithful. 83 is also Nazareth. But he's promised to faithfully execute. Execution is 116, which is country. So as they've been getting the country back, they've been doing executions. Military executions are, military execution is 223. Military tribunals, 223. So tribunals, plural, then with an S, is 116. Country is 116. And execution is 116. So that's all been going on. And he's telling people now, publicly. He put out something on Truth Social saying, trust the plan. He talked about the hunt. He was the hunted, and now he becomes the hunter again. I'm sure they were in, not Diana. Pence, yes, but not Diana. Now the question is, how's all this been going on? How have people not noticed that so many people have been taken off the board? Some are publicly, like business people, actors, sports stars, people that die that are publicly known. They timely announce their death, but that's all been done prior, and then they feed it out. But I feel that a lot of this is done. Okay, so let's look at this. So Operation Warp Speed and central casting. Central casting could almost be called central cloning. Central casting is 146. The operation is 146. Cloning is 74. The King's Justice, there you go. Justice, Justin, there you go, I like that. What's that one in, one out policy that they've put that recently again in the papers in the UK? So there's something to do with one in, one out. So for example, okay, so if we take the parameters, or if we play with the idea that things underneath the earth are mirrored above the earth. So with the tunnels, the military industrial complex, the sinkholes, the trafficking, that's all under the earth. But then they pop up to the surface, do their bits, and then they go back down again. So white hats are able to use all things that have been used against us for the good, for the greater good. So it could be, and I believe in many cases it is, because President Trump labels them and says they're central casting. Bad actors, bad players have been replaced and allowed to appear to the surface again, to then carry out this military operation in the public eye. So people, I believe, have been cloned. Bad ones have been cloned. And Operation Warp Speed is all to do with also cloning. You take bad ones out, swap them. It's like a one in, one out policy. That way you're able to do it in a smooth transition. It doesn't create hysteria where all these thousands of people have disappeared. Where have they gone? All of a sudden, they're able to bring them back up through cloning, because cloning has been gone on to do with the trafficking. That's why you didn't get mass hysteria when children go missing, because they swap them out. Military operation, so Operation Warp Speed. Warp Speed is military. So Operation Warp Speed is 220 in numbers. Warp Speed is 170. Sorry, 107. Military is 107. Quantum is 107. The cloning is 107. Cloning magic, 107. Cloning gate, 107. So if they're able to clone people and they're doing it in a rapid amount of time, They could take bad ones out, execute them, military tribunals, and then swap them back out on the surface for other versions, which are then under the white hat control and do the biddings that they need to do. You're welcome, Tracy. Pleasure. So that's why President Trump said, oh, we don't need to declare a war. They just go ahead and kill them. So they take out cabal members, they take out cartels. Cartel is 59 in numbers. Joker is 59. Cloning facility is 159. So if you do cartel the exchange, or exchange the cartel, that's 159, which is cloning facility 159. You see? So you see how this works, folks? So President Trump is telling people, yeah, we don't have to declare a war. We're just going to kill them. So if he's telling you now, we're just going to kill them, that means he's been killing them, and his team in the military have been killing them for a long time. So there's one in, one out. They're swapping them all over. Some will be publicly allowed to die, and others will be able to flip. Others will be able to do what's necessary to get the job done, and others might just rumble on for a while and then just stop doing what they're doing because they're not the same entity. But even though they have this physical avatar walking around, they're able to be neutralized without creating hysteria. It's a complex operation. It's a quantum operation. It's a military operation. Operation Warp Speed is 220. Hey folks, I'm glad. That's what it is. That's what's going on, you see. And then when the black swan hits, when the storm hits, we will see sinkholes, we'll see the tunnels, we'll see the network, and then people will wake up. Yeah, they don't have souls. And I think people are realizing now there's probably a lot more people that are clones or ones that don't have souls than what we first anticipated. Don't you think it's amazing how many family members, friends, people that we grew up with just have no clue what's going on? And they're not even interested in looking for clues. They're not actually interested. That's quite a sobering thought. And I've pretty much got past all that now, but it took a while because I was like, well, surely people can see what we can see. But then the beauty of the internet 138, Donald Trump 138, we were able to find each other through the technology. We had the internet, we had social media, now we've got AI. And as with anything, you can use things positively or negatively, and we're using them positively. All things are being, what's the scripture about old bottles and new vessels, else the wine, you put new wine into old bottles, you have to put them into new bottles, else it breaks. You know the one I'm talking about. So that's a metaphor for cloning. It's a metaphor for central casting. Central casting is 146, which is the trumpet, which is the universe. Magic trumpet, magic universe. Everything is a digital matrix of reality of consciousness, and they're able to edit and change. Edit is 38, change is 38, death is 38, balance is 38. Suzanne Summers. Ah, okay, interesting, yeah. Well, Jack Black said it, didn't he? He said, if you don't do what they want you to do, they kill you and they clone you. So they tell you in plain sight. Megan Fox, she said that she's a tranny. She says she's a guy. All these beautifully aesthetic women, not all, but probably most, you see them on the films and TV, and then you realize, oh no, they're a change, they're a swap over. And the way they do it, they show the big voice box. What was the film I saw last night? Oh, what's her name? The one in Oblivion. The white hats, even white hat directors are using some of the actors and actresses to show in plain sight. What's that Russian girl that she used to go out with Ronaldo? Then she was in the Tom Cruise film Oblivion. She looks like a female version of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who looks like a version of Heath Ledger. But she's got the throaty going on. And that's one of the big telltale signs. But most actresses, unfortunately, have got that, and you can see them. So that shows you how close it is, you know, how clever it is. But then the question is, well, who are these people? Who are these clones? Who are they? There's different breeds. There's reptiles, there's reptilians. Some are good reptiles. I've met some that are good. I can see that they're reptiles. Their eyes show that they're reptiles, but they're actually good. I did that show years ago with Bev, the old lady from Idaho, and she talked about reptiles being, whether they're good or bad, you know, both types. So we do have a mix of breeds, and even look at how it's all done. You know, you've got the whole thing of countries, and then you've got illegal aliens. Why are they referring to people, humans, as aliens? There's something to do with that. Yeah, Transformers, there you go. Transformers. And so with all of it, there's always a good side and there's a bad side to it. So Transformers, yeah, trans. But then also the technology that they're showing, you know, that actual light and intelligence could be put into metallic objects and they could change, and they could be our servants. They could, you know, that we could be driving around in vehicles that would protect us. You got the Decepticons, the bad Transformers, and you got the Autobots, the good Transformers. So with everything, it's not just black and white, it's both. Black and white is both. That's the reality of it. That's the duality of it. And it's sifting our way through it and finding out what's actually taking place and how it's going on. But clones, yeah, one in, one out. One in, one out. And that keeps the balance. That keeps the transition to greatness. Star Wars, you know, that Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, that wasn't one of the best films. But what were they telling us? They're telling us a reality. I mean, China, you know, there's countries around the world, and there's clones here in the UK, so think of other nations like China. Cloning facilities, you know, some probably, subcontinents probably just full of clones, cloning facilities. It's a very peculiar reality that we're in. But that's what the Great Awakening is. We're waking up to it. We're waking up to this reality. I mean, you think of Total Recall. Total Recall shows you that people have implants, memories, implanted memories, just like in Blade Runner. And then they realize and find out people that they thought they had grown up with aren't even who they think. We've got Blade Runner. We've got 114 thumbs up. 114 is Blade Runner. There you go. See? It's a sobering thought, but we reach a point where it's like, okay, we love our friends and family, people we grew up with. Some of them might be clones, some of them might be off-worlders, some of them might be something else, some of them might just be figments of our imagination. But we love them for what they are. And then you just have to look around. The thing with proof, see, that's the other thing when people ask about proof. The proof is everywhere. It's your perception of what proof is. And so it's only over time. Because imagine 10 years ago, someone said, oh yeah, everyone's clones. Not everyone, but a lot of them. You wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't have believed it. But I've been shown incrementally throughout the last 5 years that not everything adds up. And that reality of clones. AI, we didn't, you know, a couple of years ago, the things you can do with AI, we wouldn't have thought were possible, but they are. So the proof is in the pudding. And like Q says, you just have to show them. You can tell them, but you have to show them. And so that's what it is. That's what it is. And you just have to observe. You have to observe. If your heart's pure and open, then you'll be shown the things you need to at the right moment. I've seen central casting. I kind of can recognize some versions of central casting. And they're fine. There's nothing to be scared of. They're fine. They do their thing. But I have met famous people, and I've met a lot over the years, as you know. Oh, there's 404 in the chat. That's my grandparents' numbers together. There we go. I have to watch that one, Diplomatic Immunity. But central casting, yeah, I've seen famous people. I've even got pictures with some that were taller, and now I've got pictures with them more recent in the last couple of years, and they're shorter. And they have a different glow in their eyes as well. And the good reversed clean central casting is actually quite fine. They've got quite a nice look about them. But they're different. They're different. Doesn't mean necessarily that they're like full on with Q and President Trump, but they're like a kind of good neutral. Sometimes they'll speak up, but they're, whatever they were doing before has been neutralized, and they'll just carry on doing their thing, and they might just pass away naturally, quote unquote naturally, or something might happen. But the sting of their tail, what they were up to, has been taken out. If they were really, really bad, then the team will use that to their good and publicly declare that. But there'll be a lot of people, I think, that will probably just carry on in a neutral way. And then maybe further down the line, people will realize. But there are people that are cloned. The central casting that's out there. Why does President Trump? I don't know how many times he's mentioned central casting, hundreds of times. So what is that? It's not just actors. It's not just CGI. It's actual. I've seen it. I've seen people that are different. Some of them could actually be walk-ins from higher above, and others are clones. And there could be another variety in between as well. Time travel, yeah. I was thinking today, actually, how did you get to become a time traveler? How did President Trump get to become a time traveler? So, time travel is 148 in numbers, which is simple gematria 148, which is Donald J. Trump 148, Emmett Brown 148. Life is a stage, yeah. Life is a stage. Act well thy part. Dolly. Hang on, has Dolly Parton just died then? Is that what it is? Has she just died today? No, that's not correct about just black cats use clones. That's not correct. I've heard people get really upset about that in shows that I've done with them, and they get angry when we talk about that. That's not true. White hats are able to use all technologies. Swap out. So whether it's a genetically one under the ground, or one for, let's say, Galactic Federation or something, but a different character. And maybe they're the ones with the glows. So the glowy, the good ones that I've met, if we want to call them clones, but they're different. They're central casting. They're not the original. They've been changed. So maybe that adds a bit more clarity to the whole thing of clones. But I remember some people getting really angry when they're saying, no, only the bad ones use clones. Central casting is being used. President Trump is identifying it and telling everybody. Okay, yeah, got it. Dolly the sheep, yeah. Sheep 53, COVID 53, COVID-19, COVID DNA, sheep DNA. What's that telling you? Cloning. Cloning's real. It's real. A plethora of swaps, whether they were done under the ground, there have been clones as well, bad clones, but then they can swap them out. But whether it's New Jerusalem, Galactic Federation, walk-ins, I've met some that are different. They're different from what they were a few years ago before when I first met them. They're different. And that will come to you, and that's something you'd have to experience. It's like when you see ships in the sky. Unless you've seen them yourself, it's okay taking someone else's word for it. But once you experience it, then you've experienced it, you see it. And I'm looking forward to understanding more and more about that, because we probably still only know a few percentiles of what's really been going on and how they've been doing it. And the truth is stranger than fiction. So in Oblivion, the film that I saw again last night, the Tom Cruise character, there's a part in there, and I'd forgotten this. I've seen this film before, but I completely forgot it. He meets a version of himself. He's actually cloned all over the place. And then they have a battle with the clone, and there's the whole story with the twists and turns. But they're disclosing that that's reality that's gone on. And even when the Morgan Freeman character says to him, I didn't want to tell you because you wouldn't believe me until you experience it. He says he kind of still doesn't believe him because it's just so kind of out there. And so things like clones, people will have to experience it themselves. But in reality, you've already been experiencing it, because it is still astounding how people aren't waking up. There you go, Ray. Yeah, lots of ships in the sky. But it is a mind-blowing, isn't it, how people still haven't woken up. 5 years of this and they still haven't woken up. Still haven't. They still haven't woken up. It is stranger than fiction. And then through Operation Warp Speed. So what is Warp Speed? Warp Speed is not just about a vaccine in terms of the normal thinking of it, because you've got the whole Black Pill Brigade where their thing is fight the government and against vaccines, and that's all well and good, that's fine, that's a certain level of awareness. But Operation Warp Speed is also, if it changes the DNA, then there's also a possibility that there's a good version of that. And I've seen it, and I've had people here and say in the chat, so I know people that have had, it's okay to talk about it now because it's kind of been exposed. So part of Operation Warp Speed is waking people up. I know there's some people that have passed and everything else, and I can't speak for everyone individually, but I know, and I've noticed it for a while, that people that have had we've got 159 thumbs up, which is cloning facility. There you go. Gematria Awakening 159. DeLorean Storm. So I know people that have actually woken up since they've had the jabs, and not all jabs were created equal. There's different manufacturers, so for YouTube purposes there's different manufacturers out there, isn't there? 481, so 481 in the chat, that comes to military industrial complex cloning facility, I believe. Yeah, I think that's what it comes to. Yeah, it does. 481. We've got 481 in the chat. Candice is, where is Candice? I'm sure she's 2.0. Most of the controlled alternative media are all 2.0. And then you've got some authentics that are just people like me that we just were called and we picked up the baton and we did our best. But the alternative media, most of them are 2.0 to control the narrative. But eventually it's waking people up bit by bit. Charlie Kirk was all part of that. He was 2.0. The world will see that. I think a lot of people know that now anyway, because of the obvious discrepancies of what happened a month or so ago. But what was I saying before that? Oh yeah, so a lot of people, and I think we'll see it exponentially increase as time goes on, they're being woken up since they've had the thing since 2020, because some of us, our DNA was at a certain level where it would get activated anyway, and then there's others that just needed a bit of a push, a bit of a kick. Good people that just needed a bit of a kick. I know that for sure because I've got people that I'm close to that have advanced and get synchronicities and get they get it. Maybe they don't speak out like I do per se, but they get it, they understand, and they're awake. And then there's others, still bless them, are still just fast asleep. Okay, Superman 2. Do you remember Superman 2? When you've got, at the end of the film, you've got the three baddies, the triumvirate that's going to go down on November 22nd. So you've got General Zod, the woman, and then the big oaf. Those three have the same powers as Superman. And then they trick Superman through Lex Luthor to go into his molecule chamber and be stripped of all of his powers. And then, if you remember the film, Superman comes out of the chamber and he pretends to kneel before Zod, and then he crushes his hand. And Superman switched it on them. So look at the numbers. 107 comes to Superman. 107 comes to Trumps. Hey, Daryl. 107 comes to military. 107 comes to quantum. 107 comes to warp speed. So Superman, 107, military 107, Trumps 107, quantum 107, warp speed 107. Flipped it on them. They tell you in the films. So that was changed. So military quantum warp speed 107, that was used to change. Alex Jones is an upgrade. That's a new Alex Jones, isn't that? You know, there's all these characters that are suddenly upgraded. They change. And some will see it. A lot of normies will see it. A lot of people won't yet, but they will eventually. So in terms of the thing that went round, particularly with Operation Warp Speed, that's been upgrading people. That's been helping transition their DNA. Because you can do it both ways. You can do something and make people's DNA change and they digress and they pop off. Or others actually start to ascend and they start to activate more percentiles within their DNA, within their hologram. And then they can receive the codes and activate. And that's what's been going on as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. I'd never tell anyone to go and get something. But there's people that have been activated since they've had that. And I've seen that firsthand. And you may have to just experience that yourself and just see it. But observe it. You'll probably, hopefully, get one or two friends that you know that went through that process and actually are now starting to wake up. How's that the case? Had a bit of a push, as the Joker said. Just need a bit of a push, a kick. That's a good question. How would you know if you're a clone? I don't know. But it's good that you're asking the question. Maybe we're just holographic data points in a matrix. It might be that. Might be I've heard that, Matthew, about the certain numbers. Might be. It could well be. We've got 179 in the chat, which is Manchester United, which is Operation Sandman. President Trump's played the Metallica music at least a couple of times in the last few years. Sandman. And Operation Sandman is to do with the RV. NPC players. Or maybe, how about this as a thought? NPC players were told they don't have a soul. Or maybe they just are at a certain level of holographic coding, we'll call it that, and just need to be activated, so then they can ascend, they can go up and become more intelligent, they can have more soul being within them. That might be a possibility as well. I'm not ruling anything out or in, but there are definitely some that just seem to be on repeat, but also there's some that suddenly seem to pop out of it and start to waken up, and so maybe. And that's what some of the films show, don't they? They talk, I mean, you've got Free Guy, they talk about how, and even in Tron, so this guy, he's an NP, well, for want of a better phrase, an NPC, he's a creation of his creator. But then he starts to, something happens and he starts to think individually, and he wants to live, he wants to progress. It's the Pinocchio story, isn't it? It's the Geppetto and the Pinocchio story. That's the metaphor. And so, maybe a lot of people that are NPCs get the chance to ascend and actually become a real boy or a real girl. In sync, there you go. Oh yeah, 2.0, probably 3 or 4.0 Macron, I'm sure. The macaroni cheese. Yeah. One of the things I've helped, that I've used helping, talking of ascending, is that I was ascending, but this has definitely helped and blessed me, is the scaler. There's a great offer on right now. If you click the link below, you can use my discount code, but if you click and go straight through to the checkout, you get even more of a discount. So that was a holiday promo right now. So just click the link, it'll take you, you get $50 off. But that's the scaler, the frequency device, which definitely has been a benefit and helps. So there's 7 chakras, there's radiation setting, there's a love setting, there's a gratitude setting. There you go. Gratitude rock. There you go. And that's it. And that's good. You know, we can appreciate, like Candice's passion. Yeah. I think people have hopefully seen that not everything is black and white, no pun intended. It's the checkerboard. It's knowing the two. President Trump is able to use the forces of dark it's like spiritual Aikido. He's able to use the weight of something on itself, and that's what we're being shown. And so it's fine. It's like music. So I can still enjoy music from certain artists that look like probably at some point they were bad and have been swapped. But I'm not necessarily going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's okay. And I think that comes to people as they kind of mature into it. It's like, because otherwise there won't be anything here. But it's your intention. It's like we all breathe the same air. Does that mean we can't breathe the air that has been breathed by someone that was bad at some point? No. Does that mean we can't listen to or enjoy a film with someone that was bad at some point? No. And as you know, I talk about films. I can see the bad codes and I can see the good codes, and both are embedded in the films and in the music and in art and in so many things. And that's what it is. It's a complex tapestry of balancing of yin and yang. It's both. It's both. So positive plus negative is a 198. The resurrection, 198. Calm before the storm, 198. President Trump uses both. President Trump's 198. He uses the negative, flips it on its head, turns it into a positive. Anyway, folks, I'm going to say good night, and I will see you tomorrow. So hit the hype button if you would, subscribe, and yeah, share with your friends. Who's here? Grace. Hello, Grace. Mac. Hey, Starfire. Matthew. 3 Atlas, yeah. Okay, good question. 3 Atlas. I haven't looked at it too much. I've just seen bits that probably you guys and girls have seen. Is there a certain date when they think it's going to be closest to the Earth? The Atlas part reminds me of the thing with the principle of the lever, when Kennedy talked about the principle of the lever. I wonder if is there anything, well, maybe someone can check, is there anything to do with November 22nd and Atlas? I mean, if Atlas was on trajectory for November 22nd, that would be, okay, October 29th, okay. Okay. That would be cool. But Atlas, yeah. Frequency trigger. There we go. Yep, life is a detox. We're constantly, physically, spiritually cleaning, ascending, growing, enjoying. Computing. You're welcome, Jackson. Cool. All right, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless. You have a wonderful evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you may be, and we'll talk tomorrow. You take care. Thanks. Bye.